Hi, this is Steve Kircher again, and welcome to Lesson 2, and we're going to be talking about the C scale today. And in the last lesson, we talked about how the keyboard is set up and how to understand the musical alphabet, our fingerings. So you should have all of that down. And now we're going to jump right into the key of C. So remembering that the C is right in front of the two black keys. The D is right in the middle of the two black keys. The E is right to the right of the two black keys, and so they're related to each other. The F is the beginning of that grouping, of the three black key groupings. So I have F, G, A, B, and then I have my C octave up here from here. And again, the octave, we'll be talking a lot about that, is just 8 notes from, in this case, C, 8 notes up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to the C here. And so there's a lot of numberings that happen within music, so we need to understand how numberings work. I talked about my finger numbers last time, which was thumbs are 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to be talking about the numbers within a key, and we're going to take the key of C, the beginning here, starting with C here. So now I've got 8 notes. Let me do the scale again. So C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. And if I count those notes, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8 being the octave, the C again. So those numbers are really critical to understanding keys and chords. So I'm going to assign, again, the 1 to the C. This is my note numbers. D is 2, E is 3, F is 4, G is 5, A is 6, B is 7, and then the octave C is 8. Okay? Now you saw the way that I played that scale with my fingering. I've got 5 fingers on one hand, as you do, I hope. You're not like the 6-fingered man. If you are, you may have an advantage over the rest of us. But anyway, I've got 5 fingers. So I need to figure out how do I play 8 notes easily with 5 fingers. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start with my thumb, 1, so C1, D2, and these numbers that I'm calling out now are finger numbers, okay? These are finger numbers. So C, finger 1, D, finger 2, E, finger 3, okay? So again, let me simplify that. Speaking of this as we go here, so we have C1, D2, E3. Now I'm going to cross my thumb underneath, and I'm going to go F1, G2, A3, B4, and then C5. So again, I'm breaking this up. I'm going to go C with my 1, D with my 2, E with my 3, cross underneath, thumb, see the thumb coming underneath. On the F, F1, my fingers line up, don't skip any fingers. G2, A3, B4, and then C5. Let me do that again. Thumb comes underneath, I line up. So that gives me 8 fingers. So I got 3 here and then 5 here. Okay, and I'm going to go up and down my keyboard in the key of C. With the right hand, and now I'm going to do it 3 times, and I want to practice everything 3 times. So once I get acclimated to this, I'm going to come down. Now notice when I came down, I cross my 3rd finger over, line up my 2 and my 1, and finish the scale. So watch that again. So I'm going to go up, 1, 2, 3, cross 1 underneath, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Third finger crosses over to the E. Line these two up. Really important. Don't skip. 2, and then the 1. Again. Thumb underneath. Line it up. Come down. Cross over with my third finger. And finish. Okay? And so you want to practice that. The left hand, I'm going to start down here with my pinky. Let me do it up here. It's a little bit hard to see. Actually, I'll do that. Let me just move the camera slightly. There we go. So I'm going to start with my pinky down here. I'm going to go 1 or 5 on C, 4 on D, 3 on E, 2 on F, 1 on G. I'm going to cross over my third finger on the A, line it up. B is 2, C is 1. Watch that again. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Then I'm going to go back with the 1, 2, 3. My thumb crosses underneath, like my right hand crossed as I was going up. Left hand, it crosses underneath as we go down. Line my fingers up. Back to pinky. Watch the whole thing. 3, 2, 1. I'm going to come down. Thumb crosses under at that point because I need 5 fingers to finish this. And there I am. Okay? So again, the right hand, thumb, coming down, left hand, coming down, thumb crosses to the G, line the fingers up, and there we go. And that's the C scale. That's how I play the scale with 5 fingers, breaking it up into 3 fingers and 5 fingers. Now, we also have chords within the key. So let's take a look at the chords. So the first chord I'm going to base on the first note, the C. And what I do is I'm going to create a triad, which is a 3-note chord. This is a C chord. Notice that for the C chord, I'm playing C, E, and G together, like this. And I'm using my 1, 3, and 5 fingers here. Left hand, I'll do pinky on the C, 3 on the E, and thumb on the G. So for the C chord, I've got like that. Now, let me just go over the chords first in the right hand, then we'll put them together. So here's my C chord, C major, and we'll talk about major and minor a little bit later. So I have my C chord with C, E, G. I play it, I break the chord first, and then I block it. The next chord, I go to the next note in the key, which is D, and I skip up and play D, F, and A, like that. So going back to the C chord, my triad, the 3-note chord, is made up of notes in a series of what we call an interval of a third. All right, so let's talk about intervals for a second. So if I move from a C to a D, that's a second, an interval of a second. If I move from C to E, that's an interval of a third. If I move C to F, that's an interval of a fifth. C to G, that's an interval of a fifth. And an interval is just a spacing between 2 notes. So again, a second, a third, a fourth, and a fifth. So when I create my chord, I'm actually using intervals of thirds. You can see that. So I go interval of a third here, interval of a third here. Do you see that? So here's a series of thirds. Those are all thirds. So it doesn't have to be on C. It could be any starting note moving up, skipping the second, and going to the third. All right. So when I create my chord, I've got a triad here, a 3-note chord made up of thirds, intervals of thirds. So C, E, and G. That's my C major chord. Next, I'm going to go to the next note in the key, which is D, and I'm going to create a D minor chord with D, F, A, block it, and then I break it, and then I block it together. And I'm using my 1, 3, and 5 finger again. Here I go to the next note in the scale, which is E, and I'm going to go thirds. So E, G, B, That's an E minor chord. I'm going to go up to F major, which is F, A, C, and I break it, block it. My next note in the key in the scale is G. I go up in thirds, and I have a G major chord. I go to the A, I go up in thirds, and I have A minor. I go to the B, B, D, F, and I have a diminished chord, like that. Okay, and then I can go to C again. C, E, G, and it's up. Okay, so again, here's my C chord. I'm going to block the chords. So let me break and block. C chord, D minor chord, E minor chord, F major chord, G chord, G major chord, A minor chord, a B chord, B diminished chord, B, D, F, and then the C up top. So I break and block the chord. So you can do that with one hand at a time. Use your right hand. The left hand will be the same notes, using 5, 3, and 1, my fingerings. Here's D minor, pinky, middle finger, thumb, 5, 3, 1. Here's the E minor chord. I'm breaking it, blocking it. Here's F chord. Here's the G chord. Here's the A minor chord. Here's the B diminished chord. And then here's the C chord. All right. And then what I want you to do is, so play one hand at a time, left or right hand, and then left hand, or left hand and right, it doesn't matter. Then I want you to put them together. So I want you to try to bring them together like this. You're going to go, okay, so I'm going left hand first, right hand, breaking and then blocking, and then I go to the D minor, I break it, left to right, and then I block together. Here's E minor, here's F, here's G, okay, A minor, B diminished, and let me just move my camera over a little bit, and here's the high C, or the C, up the octave, okay? And so you need to practice it like that. It's just a good habit. Do everything 3 times. So I would go back and do it again, right? Eventually you'll get to the speed, don't get to that yet, and so on, okay? And that's how we play the C scale. Here's the C scale again. I'll just do it 2 hands and then back. Eventually you'll get to that point. Do 1 hand at a time and then work on getting 2 together. And then work through your chords that we're going to be able to use now to play certain songs. There'll be, let me give an example, like Heart and Soul, right, is using C, A minor, F, G. That's just one example of a simple tune. But a lot of songs have the same chord progression that you'll see and learn, and you'll be able to take a lead sheet, and we'll talk about that shortly in another lesson. Taking a lead sheet from the internet or wherever you get your lead sheets, and you'll see lyrics and a chord shape on top, and you'll play the chord, whatever it is, and you'll be able to play along. Something like that. Very simple example. And we'll get into that later in another lesson, how to put this all together. So work on the key of C, do your scale and your chords, get those going, and then we'll begin to put them together in chord progressions, a progression of chords that make up our song. Thank you for listening again, and we'll see you next lesson.